have been wanting to do this documentary ever since I saw the movie The Help. Some of you may or may not remember it, but it was about a maid who basically ended up having her story written for her by a young white woman who had a maid growing up, and she just needed a story to get to some top name newspaper or something in New York. It's a beautiful story, but when you read the book and you look at it in comparison to the film, there are so many things that are missing, so many different things that happen to maids that are not discussed in that film. It was clear that Hollywood did some things to make you sympathize more with the characters who were actually villains in the book. But one more important thing is I saw a regression, almost a 360 back to the roles that black women have been fighting for so long not to have to play anymore. We see Octavia Spencer and Viola Davis pushed back to maids when I thought that Hattie McDaniel and other black actresses back in the 20s and 30s and 40s did, so we wouldn't have to do in 2012 and 2013. Right now I'm interning for Peridot Media, and the owner of Peridot Media, her name is Alicia Bassier. She's a very phenomenal woman. She's an actress, director, producer. She started this thing from the ground up, and now it's one of Atlanta's premier entertainment companies. Unfortunately, right now, she's under fire because people don't like some of the characters she portrays. One in particular is this character named Daquan. She's basically in drag. She dresses up as a guy, and she portrays Daquan in a stereotypical manner. So he's kind of thugged out, you know, doesn't really have direction, but he's funny. He's a funny character. But there are people saying that, oh, she portrays black men in a terrible light. So I knew that I had to interview her for this documentary. I have to know, why are you doing this stereotypical manner when we have so many issues already trying to break the stereotypes in Hollywood? I mean, what are you trying to prove? So when I went to go talk to Miss Bassier, it was difficult. And you know her real name is Bazille. She's just so bougie. She's gonna name it to Bassier. We all know it's Bazille. But anyways, that's beside the point. She told me to go research about black women in film, and that'll give me the reasons as to why she's portraying black men the way that she does and some other races. How does that help me? How? So I did go and do some research, took a little trip right there to Georgia State's library, and they had a lot of interesting reads, and I was able to, one, narrow down my topic in my film to just the black women's roles in films over time, and it provided me with new insight, and this is what I came up with. I hope y'all like it. The Mammy, the Exotic Other, the Sapphire. These three characters, amongst others, all born from minstrelsy, have worked to represent and shape black femininity over time. The Mammy, first performed in minstrel shows by men dressed as women, is portrayed as a dark-skinned woman dressed in shapeless clothing and overweight. The image of the Mammy present in film and television prior to the 1970s is due to the forced masculine roles on black women, which reinforced the construction of them as being aggressively tough. The implications of black women's economic status forced black women to adopt certain cultural mannerisms associated with men. The image of the Mammy worked to desexualize black women, especially those black women with distinctively black features. This also worked to alleviate sexual tensions under which real-life mammies were forced to work.
New names, different dynamics for sure.
I definitely think that a lot of characters are resurfacing.
The Sapphire, yes. I see those a lot more than average, I think so.
I think they're more subtle now. I think that black female actors have grown and have acknowledged that, yeah, these roles do exist.
I think over time, it's become a little bit, I would say, less aggressive in a way. Like the Sapphire woman isn't so like crazy and beating men over the head. They're kind of like, I guess, more socially like welcoming. I remember Tyler Perry, the Tyler Perry movie, I think he did. They had like a Sapphire character, and she was like, you know, feisty like that.
The mammy role, we still have it with Medea, Tyler Perry's Medea, and I just heard this morning that he's actually handing that baton to someone else, to another actor. I'm not sure who, I didn't quite hear that result, but he is passing the baton of the mammy role. I still think that's present also in the show, in the movie Big Mama with Martin Lawrence.
The Vixen character, I think over time, like, it like started off with like black women, and I think now it's kind of like tracing into, you know, women with like black attributes, like, you know, certain accentuating certain body, you know, I guess parts.
The hypersexuality of black women, that's still present. I don't think that's ever going to go away. But then again, I think we have hypersexuality of white women as well, Asian women, Hispanic women.
I think the roles have stayed the same because our society's still the same. We still have white savior movies. We still have the tragic mulatto. You still have Mammy. You still have all of these images, but they just take on a new millennium type of form. But you still have it. You still have it. You still have the master's mistress. You know, Scandal. Hey, watch my show still. All y'all that got mad at me for saying that.
So I feel like I definitely see the mammy figure a lot in television shows and in movies, mostly television shows. I know I watch shows where there'll always be this nanny or this neighbor who's very nurturing and always has this advice to give to the main characters. So I definitely see that still. I hate to bring up Tyler Perry because I do appreciate what he does for the community, but that definitely has it looks a lot like minstrelsy. And I guess the thing is, it's like we enjoy it as a people, which is, it's questionable. It makes you question the viewership because black people seem to enjoy it a lot. Not really thinking about what other people might see when they see it.
You still have, you know, all of these different stories that have carried themselves on. Because one, we're not the one telling the stories. We're not the one representing ourselves. So when you're not telling the story and you're allowing people to tell your story for you, they're still telling it from a culturally dominant perspective. Just like Django was a wonderful movie, but Django wasn't our movie. It was a movie that featured one of us or our story, but it wasn't our story because it wasn't, our main character wasn't in a position of empowerment through the whole way. And his freedom wasn't ascertained by himself. But I don't want to get into the Django discussion. But yes.